Welcome to this video of Econo Insight. In this video, we will discuss the concept of aggregate supply curves. And since it is a long topic, we will divide the video into two parts. And this is part one of the video discussing the long run aggregate supply and the short run aggregate supply. And the combination of the two we will discuss in the part two segment of the video. So now, we will start with the idea of long run aggregate supply, or the LRAS. First, very importantly, we must know that the shape of the long run aggregate supply in a graph is that it has a shape of a vertical line. So now if we draw a graph, and in our y-axis, in our vertical axis, we have P, which is price level, and in our horizontal axis we have Y, big Y, which is income or output, which is essentially the GDP. We will have a vertical line in the graph, which we will label LRAS. And this indicates the output that the economy will have in the long run. In the long run ahead, this is the output. And notice that the LRAS, the output in the long run, is not dependent of price. It is independent of price. So if the price goes up, if the price goes down, in the long run, the output will stay the same. Because why? Recall that when discussing production functions, the output is a function of capital and labor, right? So there is no mention of price in this formula. So hence, it is only logical that this graph, it exhibits that, again, reaffirms the fact that long run output is not dependent on price at all. So let's say in the economy that there is a demand shock. Let's say we started out with aggregate demand curve 1, right? And there is a demand shock. So we shifted to aggregate demand curve 2. We shift leftwards in this case. Don't forget to draw the arrows. That is essential in drawing graphs. We can see that in this case, pardon my drawing, that should be a straight line. That in this case, price 1 goes down to price 2 when the 81 shifts leftwards to 82. But notice here that the long run output is constant. It's still here. It's still in Y bar, right? So in this case, we can see that even though there are demand shocks and it changes the price level, but the long run output will not change. That is the main idea of the long run aggregate supply. Now we'll move to the next section, which discusses about short-run aggregate supply. Well, this is a different concept, and first, we must note that a short-run aggregate supply in a graphical manner is shown as a horizontal line, right? So now let's depict this in the graph. Let's say in our vertical axis, in our y-axis, we have price, same like before, and in our horizontal axis, we have big Y, which is the GDP essentially, and which is income and output. In the short run, we can see that that there is a horizontal line, meaning that indicating that prices are sticky in the short run. When prices are sticky means that there is a resistance of market prices to change. Why is this? Because certain things in the short run are fixed. For instance, wages are in contracts. For example, in retail businesses, catalogs have been issued and it is expensive to issue them. So factors which are similar like these, which contribute to the concept of price stickiness, makes prices resistant to change, which makes prices sticky in the short run. And hence, in the short run, prices are constant, as symbolized, indicated as in the horizontal line. So for instance, our economy starts out with 81 and there is a demand shock, and it shifts 81 leftwards from 81 to 82. Don't forget the arrows again. We can see that the prices in the economy are the same, but what changes here, note this is very important, is the output. We started out with output Y bar, and now we are ending up at Y1. So we can see that if there is a shock in aggregate demand, 81 shifts leftwards to 82, only the output changes but the prices remain constant because we assume that prices in the short run are sticky. So that is the idea of SRAS, short run aggregate supply, and long run aggregate supply. Now, don't forget to watch part 2, because in part 2 we will combine the short run aggregate supply curve and the long run aggregate supply curve to analyze deeper on the concept of short run fluctuations as a whole. So I hope this has been helpful, and thank you for watching.